Hello, and welcome back to Budget Modern, your source for modern legal MTG decks for about $50 or less. Today we'll be doing the conclusion to our heroic deck list series, this one being the red-white deck Heroic Charge. Let's start out with our land base. We're running 4 copies of Evolving Wilds, a good card to be able to help you fetch either your mountains or your plains in the deck for some mana fixing. Then we'll be running 7 copies of Mountain, 7 copies of Plains, and 4 copies of Windscarred Crag. Windscarred Crag is a nice tap dual land that gains you life whenever it comes into play. Then we move into our creatures. 4 copies of Favored Hoplite, single white casting cost for a 1/2 heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Favored Hoplite, put a 1/1 counter on Favored Hoplite and prevent all damage that would be dealt to it this turn. Then we will be running 3 copies of Langona Band Trailblazer. Heroic, whenever you cast a spell that targets Langona Band Trailblazer, put a 1/1 counter on Langona Band Trailblazer. It's a single white casting cost 0/4. Next up, we'll be running 4 copies of Akroan Crusader, single red casting cost. For a 1/1 heroic, whenever you cast a spell that targets Akroan Crusader, put a 1/1 red soldier creature token with haste onto the battlefield. Good for swarming the field and hopefully getting more creatures than your opponent. Next up would be Satyr Hoplite, which we'll be running 4 copies of. It's a single red casting cost for a 1/1 with heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Satyr Hoplite, put a 1/1 counter on Satyr Hoplite. Good for gaining permanent buffs on them from your temporary buff spells. Following that, we're running the legendary creature Anax Encymead. 1 generic, 1 red, and 1 white for a 3/2. First strike, Vigilance with heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Anax Encymead, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. This card here is a very invaluable resource for this deck. You want to get it out as early as you can, and if need be, just target it. That way you can get all of your other creatures very nice buffs. Then let's move on to our spells in the deck. Be running 2 copies of Alley Evasion, single white casting cost, instant, choose 1, target creature you control gets +1/+2 until end of turn, or return target creature you control to its owner's hand. This is a nice small buff, or you can bounce one of your creatures, especially Anax Encymead, if your opponent's trying to destroy them. Following, we have Artful Maneuver, 1 generic, 1 white, for an instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn with Rebound. Rebound allows you to exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost, so it's got a very nice recursion to it. Basically getting double the spell effect from just a single card. Following that, we'll have 4 copies of Conviction. 1 generic, 1 white for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+3. Pay a white, return Conviction to its owner's hand. This is a good card to be able to actually put on one of your creatures. If your creature is about to die, pay a white, bounce back to your hand, and second main phase, or on your following turn, play it onto another one of your creatures, triggering heroic, and you haven't lost Conviction. After that, we have 2 copies of Brute Strength, 1 generic, 1 red casting cost. For instant, target creature gets +3/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. This is a good card for a very nice buff, with the added effect of trample, being able to get through your opponent's blockers. Then we move on to 4 copies of Fist of the Anvil, 1 generic, 1 red casting cost instant. Target creature gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Very nice buff spell. Then for our final card in the deck, one that I'm sure quite a few people are familiar with. 4 copies of Temur Battle Rage. 1 generic, 1 red casting cost for an instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. With Ferocious, target creature also gains trample until end of turn if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. In this deck, you have a very high chance of being able to achieve that. So if you liked this deck, or any of the 3 decks in the series, please hit that like and subscribe button. That way you can stay up to date on all of our future content. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave it in the comments below. Feel free to check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/budgetmodern, and we'll see you guys next time.